A reading from the Book of Wisdom, chapter 13, Astral and Nature Cults. Empty-headed by nature are all who are unaware of God, and who, from good things seen, have not been able to discover Him who is, or by studying the works have not recognized the artificer, but have thought fire or wind or the swift air, the circle of the stars, or forceful water, the starry constellations of heavens, to be the gods of the world. If, charmed by their beauty, they have taken these for gods, let them know how much the master of these excels them, since he was the very source of beauty that created them. If, struck by their power and energy, let them consider from these how much mightier is he that formed them, since through the grandeur and beauty of the creatures, their author is by analogy perceived. Small blame, however, attaches to them, for perhaps they go astray only in their search for God and their eagerness to find Him. Familiar with His works, they search for Him and are seduced by the eye, seeing so much beauty. But even so, they have no excuse if they are capable of knowing so much that they can weigh up the world. How have they still not found its master? The cult of idols. But wretched are they, with their hopes set on dead things, who have given the title of gods to works of human hands, gold or silver skillfully worked, likenesses of animals, or useless stone carved by some hand long ago. Take a woodcutter. He fells a suitable tree, neatly strips off the bark all over, and then with admirable skill works the wood into an object useful in daily life. The bits left over from his work he uses for cooking his food and eats his fill. There is still a bit left over, good for nothing, a gnarled and knotted billet. He takes it and whittles it with the concentration of his leisure hours. He forms it with the skill of experience, gives it a human shape, or perhaps he makes it into some cheap animal, smears it with ochre, paints its surface red, coats over all its blemishes. He next makes a worthy home for it, lets it into the wall, fixes it with an iron clamp. Thus, he makes sure that it will not fall down, being well aware that it cannot help itself, since it is only an image and needs to be helped. And yet, praying for his goods, his marriage, his children, he does not blush to address this lifeless thing. For help, he invokes what is weak. For life, he pleads with what is dead. For help, he begs of something that has no experience. For a journey, something that cannot use its feet. For profit and success in the work of his hands, he asks skill from a thing whose hands have no skill whatever. The word of the Lord. A reading from the Book of Wisdom, chapter 14. Or someone else, taking ship to cross the wild waves, loudly invokes a piece of wood, frailer than the vessel that bears him. Though desire for gain inspired the ship, the skill of a craftsman built it, but your providence, Father, steers it. Since you gave a pathway even through the sea and a safe way over the waves, showing that you can save whatever happens, so that even without experience, someone may put to sea. You willed that the works of your wisdom should not be purposeless, so people entrust their lives to the smallest piece of wood, cross the waves on a raft, yet are kept safe and sound. So in the beginning, when the proud giants were perishing, the hope of the world took refuge on a raft, and steered by your hand, preserved for the world the seed of a new generation. For blessed is the wood which serves the cause of righteousness, but cursed is the man-made idol and its maker too. The maker for having made it, and the object because though perishable, it has been called God. For God holds the godless and their godlessness in equal hatred. Both work and worker will be punished alike. Hence even the idols of the nations will be called to account, since through God's creation they have become an abomination, a scandal for human souls, a snare for the feet of the foolish. The origin of idolatry. For the idea of idols was the start of fornication. Their discovery corrupted life. They did not exist at the beginning. They will not exist forever. By human vanity they came into the world, and so a speedy end is reserved for them. A father, afflicted by untimely mourning, makes an image of his child so soon carried off, and now pays divine honors to what was once only a human corpse, handing on mysteries and ceremonies to his people. Time passes, and the impious custom hardens and is observed as law. By the command of rulers, carved images were worshipped. People who lived too far away to honor them in person made an image of their distant countenance, a visible likeness of their honored king, to flatter by such zeal the absent as if he were present. The artist's achievement led even those who did not know him to imitate this worship. For the artist, wishing to please the ruler recently exalted, by his skill embellished the likeness, and the crowd, attracted by the beauty of the work, mistook for a god him who has just gained honor as a man. And this became a snare for life, that people, by misfortune or by tyranny enslaved, conferred the unique name on sticks and stones. Consequences of idolatry. Nor was the error in the knowledge of God enough for living in the fierce warfare of ignorance. They call these terrible evils peace, observing their child-murdering rites, their occult mysteries, their frenzied orgies with outlandish customs. They no longer retain any purity in their lives or marriages. One treacherously murdering or injuring another by adultery. Everywhere, a welter of blood and murder, theft and fraud, corruption, treachery, riot, perjury, disturbance of decent people, forgetfulness of favors, pollution of souls, sins against nature, disorder in marriage, adultery and debauchery. For the worship of nameless idols is the beginning, cause and end of every evil. For such people either carry their merrymaking to the point of frenzy, or they prophesy lies, or live wicked lives, or they swiftly go back on their oaths. Since they put their trust in lifeless idols, they do not reckon their false oaths can harm them. But righteousness will catch up with them on both counts. for thinking evil of God by adhering to idols, and for wickedly perjuring themselves in contempt for what is holy. For it is not the power of the things by which they swear, but the punishment reserved for sinners that always follows the offenses of the wicked. The word of the Lord.